These guys who have been calling out this stuff are on the inside now.
I've seen the whole file.
Epstein knew everyone.
When it comes to how blatant and criminal so many of these very real conspiracies were.
So do I think he was killed? 100%.
There's a reason they're hiding it.
Hey guys, welcome to Tall, Thin and On Edge. And what are Dan Bongino and Dave Smith talking about? Well, let's dive into the video and find out.
As well, you can see inside. Well, we can't because the tapes were turned off. So you can't. So what exactly is this new specific evidence? Because we did have this guy who seems to be an intelligence asset. Then they get him in jail. They take the safe out of his apartment. It magically disappears. And then this guy's in jail, and magically all the cameras turn off when he decides to kill himself in his own cell.
Look, it all just comes down to trust me. They're saying nothing. They're sitting there saying it's. I mean, I know the other clip they were like, oh, I'm not saying just trust me, but they're like, look, people are entitled to their opinion. I know the case. I've seen the case. He killed himself. What the fuck is that?
So we all know the meme, Jeffery Epstein did not kill himself. So this is what they're talking about essentially. Robbie there is talking about how the main thing was the cameras turning off in the cells, and it was just overall suspect. So what is it about what Dan Bongino and Kash Patel said that upset them so much? Let's have a look at that and find out.
Rather than actually giving us any information, they're just downplaying all of this stuff. That's what it seems like to me. Here, let's play this one.
Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
Can you just even pause here?
Himself.
You might as well play it through because it just it looks retarded. It's a bad pause.
Again, you want me to get, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work. You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide.
So the man on the right there is Kash Patel. He is the new director of the FBI appointed by Trump in 2025 this year. And he has had a long and interesting, slightly controversial career. He was a public defender from Miami in the early 2000s by the looks. And then he was a House Committee aide and then a National Security Council aide during the first Trump term. And he seemed to some degree get sucked into the Russian collusion hoax, although it's Dan Bongino on the left I want to focus on. And in particular, I'll show us a clip of some stuff that he said in the past about the Epstein case. Okay, so this is Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino is a former New York City cop. He joined the Secret Services in the early 2000s under the Presidential Protection Division under the Bush administration. Since then, he's had a long media career, starting the Bongino Report in 2019. And in 2025, earlier this year, he was announced as the Deputy Director of the FBI along with Kash Patel. So what we're about to see here is footage from the Bongino Report, his old show from mid-last year, 2024.
He asked Donald Trump about the Jeffrey Epstein client list. For those of you who don't know Jeffrey Epstein, who is now deceased under, at a minimum, suspicious circumstances, Jeffrey Epstein was basically a sex criminal involving trafficking young girls. And Jeffrey Epstein had videotapes. Now, I told you a story a long time ago. I want to repeat right here because the story is from an unimpeachable source who was there. Nonpartisan source, was on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton. There were some young girls on the flight. My source, I want to be clear, does not know what happened back there. He just knows that Bill Clinton was back there with these young girls for a suspiciously long amount of time. When this comes out, if this guy, it's his information, I'm waiting for him to want to go public. I can't force him to. I think he will eventually. It is going to rock the Democrat Party. Not because they care, but because they're going to have a tough time spinning it because the source is so unimpeachable on it. So he gets off this guy. They land. He's so disturbed by what happened, he goes to another guy and says, listen, I don't want anything to do with this. Basically, I'm not getting back on this plane. They send him home. He starts seeing emails. Everybody can read emails that go out to the entire, let's just say, Secret Service, right? He notices a very suspicious pattern the next few weeks. He notices that a bunch of agents on the Clinton detail who were on that trip had lost their phones. Folks, the Epstein client list is a huge deal. I want you to understand that there is a class of benighted folks who benighted themselves in a little round table who are not subjected to the same rules you are. And the reason they may have done disgusting things with young women and girls on Epstein's planes and elsewhere, it's because they felt like they could get away with it. It's going to rock the political world. There's a reason they're hiding it. I don't know how Jeffrey Epstein, I'm not going to sit here and tell you. I wasn't there. All I can tell you is it's awfully suspicious how that happened. Oh, look, the cameras broke. Oh, look, he strangled them.
Oh, it's awfully suspicious. So as you can see, Dan Bongino has like a sort of a different take on this less than a year ago, really.
Himself on a bed thing. Wow, amazing how that worked out. My bottom line is I don't trust any story they tell me about Jeffrey Epstein. There is a reason this client list is hidden.
So I will, I'll back him up here. He has, like, he's saying he doesn't know, but pay attention to what he said after that. And this isn't the only time Bongino has spoken on this.
I know this guy, and I know the Clintons well. I worked with them. I've been in the car with them. I've had to listen to them over and over and over for years, especially when they were formers. They are really disgusting people. They're genuinely horrible people, okay?
Based, in fact. So you can see he sort of knows the interconnected nature of it and seems to have a pretty good idea of what's going on and who's involved and why. So let's look at another video that he's done.
Folks, this Epstein story, this is now the biggest story in the world right now. Why? Why? Because there was some perv who was trafficking kids. That's a pretty tragic, awful story. Can we all agree? Yeah, point stipulated, dispositive, put a period at the end of that sentence. But folks, it's not the only angle to this. This is a national security nightmare. It has been speculated that there are a multitude of tapes, because I believe in the process and fairness. These are allegations. But folks, I've been told by numerous people there is a library of tapes, and what you saw yesterday was just a tiny little scratcheroo on the surface. Meant to appease you? I don't know. Meant to walk this story back? I don't know. Epstein knew everyone. He trafficked in information and access. This was a reporter at ABC years ago. Her name is Amy Robach. And she's on the air on a hot mic moment. She doesn't realize she's being recorded, I guess, during the break, or maybe she did. And then she notes at the end, was he blackmailing people? Watch every second of this video. It's important. Check this out.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. What we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. There will come a day where we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago. So do I think he was killed? 100%. Because he made his whole living blackmailing people. There were a lot of men in those planes, a lot of men who visited that island, a lot of powerful men who came into that apartment.
The blackmail and the videos, that the list is just, this is scratching the surface. If there's video, it's pretty hard to deny. That is the treasure chest of information that criminal lawyers should get their hands on to prosecute these people. And the question is, do they already have it? And why haven't they done anything? And I believe the answer is yes. And they haven't done anything because there's some really, really powerful people involved. Joe, you've been in radio for a long time. What's the rule about a microphone? When is it recording?
Always treat it like it's hot, Dan. Always.
There you go. You think Amy Robach didn't know that? She absolutely knew that mic during the break was recording her. And she wanted that on the record in case something happened to her or someone else. This is a court deposition. Did Jeffrey Epstein ever talk to you about Bill Clinton? Asking one of the people involved. He said one time that Bill Clinton likes him young. All I can tell you is what the source told me. I am absolutely certain of what he said when he said it and the exact words he used. He likes him young. The question now is who else likes him young? The verdict is in. Media people are morons. Who has the tapes now?
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I wanted to show you clips of how Dan Bongino was thinking about this not so long ago, probably before he knew he was going to be the new deputy director of the FBI under Donald Trump. Take note that what he really wanted to know was about the tapes and the huge implications surrounding them and who they might incriminate. Sadly, however, we just saw what we could have guessed would happen when even a fired up and determined man gets on the inside. Well, the state, and this nightmarish postmodern bureaucracy we built back after World War II, no one is going to investigate the multitude of avenues sitting right there in the black books. The Epstein clients won't be held accountable. They will continue to commit abominable crimes under the protection of the state. So for you guys watching this, wherever you are, this is all worth really thinking about and taking in. Clearly the goalposts just keep getting shifted here away from what should be the primary focus in relation to the Epstein case. The existence of an elite ruling class of individuals, most likely comprised of politicians, celebrities, artists, musicians, magnates, and bureaucrats, among others, seems to not just be a conspiracy theory, but a spine-chilling fact. Considering the by now multitudes of names from the classes of people I mentioned who have been accused of or found guilty of child abuse over the past several decades, it seems like something isn't quite right. When the Jeffrey Epstein story broke, a lot of people probably besides me were already quite suspicious of some classes of cultural elite around whom swirled some pretty unsavory rumors. Alex Jones had already been talking about Bohemian Grove for years, and we were beginning to hear stories through the newly emerging independent media online that were starting to become hard to ignore. As the story unfolded, revealing that Epstein likely worked as an intelligence asset, using sexual blackmail to peddle influence, all that made sense to me. Like I said, these rumors have been circulating for years. So who are these clients, blackmail politicians and elites? The goalposts keep getting moved, and people kept allowing the media to gently shunt their attention to one side. There never was a client list. That was just Epstein's address book, and that was leaked years ago. The only thing that can really be done with the address book is speculate on what names in it are actually clients of Epstein's. The term client list is just a red herring, designed to get you in a state of expectation for the revelation. Then the next information they give you is another red herring. Dan Bongino and Kash Patel hold a presser and announce that they've been over the thousands of pages of evidence and concluded that, hey, he killed himself, sorry. And then they didn't say anything else. But if you think clearly about it, this actually looks clearly like a distraction. Jeffrey didn't kill himself is the slogan. It has been for years. So when Kash and Dan just dropped, killed himself, sorry, I think it kind of mentally tripped us up a bit because we've been focusing on that one thing for a couple of years now. But okay, he killed himself. Not ideal, but cool. Because we all know what the next step is, right? Dan? Kash? Pam? I mean, it's pretty logical that the circumstances of his death shouldn't be the beginning and end of the Fed's interest in this. It's an inconvenience to the investigation's progress, but it's clear that then the priority for the FBI would be to investigate every single name in Jeffrey's address book and any other people identified in the investigation to date. That's your client list, the results of that investigation. I'm pretty sure I know exactly what Biden's administration did about checking into all of this. But why aren't Dan and Kash bothering to tell us that Epstein killed himself? Okay, cool. That's unfortunate, guys, but I'm sure you're out there agitating gravel, taking names and asking questions from that nice big notebook full of all the names and addresses of many powerful people he was friendly with. You guys are doing that, right? Great. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you want to help me out, feel free to smash that like button and punch the subscribe. And stay tuned for more. I want to continue getting into making political commentary videos and stuff like what you just saw. So hope some people are looking forward to that. See ya.